there's a massive amount of money sitting on the sidelines. We have $7.8 trillion sitting on the sidelines in cash equivalent accounts. That means bank accounts, money market funds, things that are very liquid that can deploy at any minute. When that a lot of that money starts to go into real estate typically, right? And so it's normally going to go into those markets, and tangible assets like real estate are very favorable for the money that's sitting there. Now that money has been though piling up for 2 or 3 years, and so it keeps getting more. We've been talking about it for a little while. We're watching it really closely because as soon as the consumer sentiment says, "Hey, we're coming back in," we're going to have a massive inventory problem again, and it's going to flip upside on its head, and we're going to see because if you look at those charts, the gap between buyers and sellers, try to pull one up. You're going to notice that the overall supply between now and 2014, even though we have more sellers than buyers, and that gap is as wide as it's been for a long time, the number of actual homes on the market, let's see, home buyers and sellers are both bagging off. Yeah, go to that one.
This one?
Yeah. So let's say estimated number of U.S. home buyers and sellers actively in the market. So look at that gap when the gap was really wide last time. So you see in 2013 to 2015, right? That gap in 2014, pretty wide gap. However, there was 2.6 million homes on the market, and there was 2 million buyers in the market. So you had 600,000 deficit of buyers and sellers. Does anybody remember what the real estate market was doing from 2014, 15, 16, all the way up?
No.
Prices were going up. So prices were still going up significantly. And so let's say that gap, right? And then it caught up and it was very even. Buyers and sellers were very even all the way till COVID. And then boom, we had way more buyers than sellers. And that's when we saw this massive spike in prices.
Right.
So instead of a 5 to 10% appreciation every year, depending on your market that you were in, all of a sudden we had 50% appreciation, 40% appreciation. We had these double-digit appreciation numbers, and that's what that gap is showing you.
Yeah.
So this shows us when we can get good deals, when we're not getting good deals. People are paying absolute premiums. We saw that right after COVID, right? So now what we're seeing is we've got the sellers and buyer gap, again, a 600,000 property or person deficit there. However, we went from 2.6 million homes on the market back then, and it's dropped all the way to 2 million. And so you have way less homes on the market. Then so when this script flips, I think you're going to see a massive jump again, and it's going to look like that post-COVID, because all of a sudden when people start hearing that, hey, Jake took some money out of his money market fund and he's putting them in real estate, and then the news articles start to say, real estate's pretty attractive again, and the masses start to buy in that now's a good time to buy, and there's a whole bunch of money sitting there to buy with, then it's going to dump into these asset classes. And I think that so my prediction is you're going to be really happy to have some assets that you're picking up right now. So that 3 to 5 years from now, when we look back, you're like, all those people that got so lucky that they bought in 2026, because that's how they're going to talk about us. They're going to talk about us, in my opinion, that we're going to be the lucky ones. Because but nobody's going to say, well, guess what? 17% of consumers feel like now is a good time to buy. That means 83% think it's not a good time to buy. So those are the things. So going back off, I keep taking you to different things than you probably had on the agenda to talk about today.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
How much of this do you think is just being in the average American's ear, just of media and just saying now's not a good time, and so they just don't think it? I mean, is it just going to be a certain amount of articles or social media pushes to make people want to start buying and believe in it? I think
it is the danger of what's going. It's always been the danger of people listening to the propaganda that's out there, and it is all propaganda. Good, it doesn't matter what side you're listening on, it's propaganda, and so you try to back out, but it's none of us can do it. We all have our biases. We all believe certain things. We all are going to navigate one way or the other. I mean, it's so, and when you start to feed those biases. And the amount of information that can feed those biases, and the algorithms know your biases, and they continue to feed it. So if you're scared to death today, you're going to be way more scared tomorrow, because everything that hits your feed is going to be feeding that fear, right?